Welcome to Where We Knit. My name is Kristen and I am the host of this channel, Where We Knit, where I talk about all things yarn, all things knitting, sometimes sewing, and at the very end I share some of my favorite things, sometimes knitting related and sometimes not. In today's video, I am talking all about the magic of marling yarns. And I'll go over what is marling. I have created a Ravelry bundle of some really unique and fun patterns that use marling and marled yarns. And then we'll talk about some of my whips and favorite things. So before we get started, the last video, which was episode number 21, I highlighted a tasting of June cashmere, which is a cashmere yarn that the cashmere comes from Kyrgyzstan. And on that video, one person was chosen to get a present from Amy from June Cashmere and myself. And that present was a one skein project where you pick out one skein, a one skein pattern, and also you get a little project, June Cashmere project bag. And I have the winner. So I'll put her name down here, but it's Cindy Buchite or Buchite. Sorry, Cindy, if I'm massacring your name, it's not my intent. Amy's going to be in contact with you, and congratulations on winning that one skein project. So let's get started. Marling yarns. You can see that I'm wearing one project. I'm also going to highlight some of the things that I've made in using either commercially marled yarns or marling different yarns together, and you can see the fabric that it creates. But marling yarns is basically holding two or more yarns together to create its own little unique spin on a fabric. So for instance, I'm going to show you an example other than what I'm wearing, which I will get into in a second because I've made two of them. I have had this yarn in my stash to make the Robinia sweater by Anna Wenzel. I'll show a picture of what it looks like here, but she uses, and this is like the one time that I bought all of the yarn that she used. I mimic the same thing. I use the exact same yarn. So she used this Isayer Tavini. This blue is so beautiful, color number 44. She used this Isayer mohair, which is basically black, okay? And she used this Donegal tweed, okay? So these three yarns are held together for the blue that turns out to look like this. I'm fascinated. I love the idea of marling yarns. So this is vest number 3 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, where I held 3, sometimes 4 strands together. This pattern takes, it's like a bulky weight. So you really have to either find a bulkier weight and then hold it with like maybe a contrasting mohair to make a marl, or you can add a whole bunch of different yarns together. I want to talk about the yarns that I used for this specific one, and then I have another one that I want to talk about that I've also made. So this vest is cropped, but you don't have to have it cropped. I'm just wearing it with a white t-shirt today, and you can see that it's pretty cropped, and I'm wearing it with a bright pink pair of cords. So I used a pretty unique blend of yarns for this. I was able to get my hands on some Icelandic yarn by Helin Magnusson. She has some beautiful yarns and some beautiful patterns out on Ravelry. But I used Woolstock worsted is the gray. So that's a worsted. And I held it with this Gillitrute, which is a lace weight. And I had it in both this salmon orange and this pink color, okay? So I held it with these two. And you can kind of see how I had it marled together here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it One of them was a little bit bigger than the other, but there are 3 strands here. So it was kind of bananas to knit because I was managing all of these lace weight, pink and orange. But I think that the marl that came out in this fabric, I love pink and orange together, is really unique and fun. So that is the first vest that I did. The other vest that I did, I need to share with you is, it's the same pattern, and this is the fabric that was created. So this is kind of like an orangey pink again, but I'm gonna just hold this up like this so you can see this because it's really fantastic what came out of this. So this is Pickles thick, they call it Tjukk merino, which is probably a worsted bulky. This is soft fuzz, okay? So this is kind of a orangey, this is definitely orange, and I held it with this mohair. So these are the 3 that I used to marl together to make this fabulous fabric in this vest. So this really is a true marl where you see all the different unique blends. You can see the pink popping through, and then you can see some of the orange and kind of the salmon color here. So it's the camera is not doing justice truly to the different colors that are in this vest, but it was a really unique opportunity for me to marl those together as I had them in my stash, and this couldn't be more soft and squishy and fun. So those are 2 projects that I have done within the last year or so. And I love a good vest just because I do get overheated, and it's kind of a nice way to still be warm but still have your arms free. And they're quick to knit because you don't have sleeves. Let's talk about some other projects that I also did when it comes to marling. I wanted to show you, this is the Lento. All of these projects are not in Ravelry. I'm working on it, people. I'm working on it. But they are in the show notes, so you can kind of take a look. If you haven't heard about the Lento sweater, you need to check it out. It is so quick. We also had a Lento along here at Dandelion Fiber Company not long ago, and I used a sock yarn, a variegated sock yarn with some really, really beautiful, oh, I have to find it, silk, Surrey silk that looks like this. Now my favorite Surrey silk is the Surrey silk, it's not mohair, sorry, the Surrey silk lace weight by Fiber MacGyver. I used it for another Lento that once I got here to the store to do the taping, I'm so mad at myself that I forgot it, but I can show you what I used. I'll pop a picture of what the sweater looks like here. Again, a Lento sweater using this you can see what it is. I don't want to massacre it. Had it in stash. It's just a fingering. So I used 2 of these and a couple of Susie from Fiber MacGyver, her soft silk mohair. This is all I have left, so you can't see it, but it's this beautiful blue. And it created, this is my swatch for it. It created this marl. So here is what I used for the sweater. And you can kind of see as I swatched, you can see the marl on that, which is so fantastic because these colors are drastically different. And they made this most beautiful sweater that's right here. So really, there's so much creativity that comes in marling yarns. I can't get enough of it. I love a lot of color. So for me, it's like really the opportunity to play with color. The other thing I love about marling yarns is it gives you an opportunity to use up your stash. There is some really cool patterns that I'm going to mention here in a few moments in that Ravelry bundle. You should check it out, where they're smaller projects. So you can use up some of those scraps where you're holding them together and creating, you know, maybe a DK weight. If you have two fingering, maybe you're creating a sport, or you have a lace and a fingering, or a lace and a DK. I mean, you can really create whatever you need to for a weight for a specific pattern. That I'll go into some really fun patterns in a second. Another really awesome Marl is I made I need to remember the pattern on this one too. It was in the Brioche field guide for modern daily knitting. I love those things, those little tiny booklets with awesome patterns. And I made this scarf. I want to say it's called the honeycomb scarf, because it was the first time that I had done honeycomb brioche. And it was difficult for me. But anyway, I used two of these Freya yarns that were completely different, like this, not these two colorways. The link for Freya yarns is also in the show notes. But I used two different ones to create this honeycomb brioche scarf. Here's a picture of the scarf here. You can get the pattern on Ravelry, but you can see as it went through how these are marled together. And I love, you can see how the honeycomb brioche was this little triangle stitch. That little honeycomb is different than the main color because I'm holding two different yarns. This thing is such a showstopper. I love it. You should check it out. If you've never done honeycomb brioche, there's a lot of great tutorials out there. And also, I think they talk about it in that field guide, Modern Daily Knitting Field Guide for Brioche. But this thing is so luscious. It's a really nice size scarf. And I love it. I love to have things around my neck. So the honeycomb brioche scarf, you can see who the designer is because I can't see it in my notes really quick, but you will see it. You will see it in the show notes. All right, so those are a couple projects that I've done with marling yarns. I can't recommend enough the Lento sweater to play around with marling, and also this vest is really fantastic to be able to play around with lots of different weights and colors and see what you can come up with. I want to talk a little bit about some commercially what they would call marled yarns. So you can get yarns similar to Spin Cycle, for instance. That's really color changing yarns, but it also is marling two different colors together and plying them. Some examples that I have, I wanted to share this too. This is a marled yarn by Yarn Hero, okay? I got this quite a while ago. It is a marled yarn. I have a couple skeins left over from this shawl that I did, where you do get a color changing sort of marled look in this shawl. This is the Traveler's Shawl by Andrea Mowry. I love this shawl. I love the weight of it. And I love how unique it looks when you see all of the different marling and color changing within the skein. So these are from Yarn Hero. Yarn Hero you can get online. Sometimes she goes to events. Here's another Yarn Hero that I have that I'm going to be making a best friend's hat, which you'll hear about in a few minutes, by Pearl Soho. So this colorway is from Yarn Hero, is called Baggy Pants, okay? And yeah, I love their yarns too. So this is just, I think this one is, it's a sport weight, and the colorway is called Stormy Day. And you can find those on her website. Two other yarns that I have in my stash, and also if you've watched my podcast before, you know that 2025 is the year of stashing down. Okay, I keep saying it in every podcast, so I'm sorry if I keep saying that to you. But I'm sort of saying it out loud, so I actually do it. Brooklyn Tweed Loft has 2 colorways that are, they're discontinued, but you can find other different colorways similar to this on their website. This is the Brooklyn Tweed. This is their fingering weight, and this is newsprint, and this is caribou. And I have enough for sweaters, a sweater quantity for both of these. So for this one, I'm going to be making the Andrea Mowry Weekender Light. It's the Weekender. If you don't know that pattern, it's all over the internet. Hundreds of people have made it. I really love it. I've made one before. I have 2 of them actually. One is the light and one is the worsted weight. But this one, I'm going to do the light because it's fingering. And I think it'll be beautiful. She as in Andrea Mowry, made hers in newsprint for the regular version, so the worsted DK version. But I'm going to use it in the light because I have just enough for the light. So that is something that I will be casting on in 2025. Another pattern that I have had my eye on and purchased is the Wolford's Cardigan by Brooklyn Tweed, Jared Flood at Brooklyn Tweed. And I will be using this colorway, the caribou, for that cardigan. I have quite a few cardigans on my list for 2025. I certainly hope they come to fruition because I'm really into wearing cardigans these days. And you will see I have 2 on the needles right now. One, I'll show you the progress in a minute. And the other one I left at home because I'm gonna just knit it like crazy cakes and hope to have it done for the next podcast. One more yarn, marled yarn that I have is a yarn by Pearl Soho called Picnic Cotton. I think they don't have Picnic Cotton anymore, but they have something similar to it. And this is also a marled yarn. This is navy, and this is 100% cotton. So I'm in the market to find the perfect, I have a sweater quantity of this as well. And I'm looking for the perfect cotton sweater fingering weight for this. If you have a favorite, let me know in your comments. And yeah, we'll see. But I'm definitely going to use it. I've used this yarn, not this marled, but I've used this yarn in the past for a sweater, and I really do like this Picnic Cotton. I'm kind of sad they got rid of it. All right, that's a lot. But let's talk about some of the patterns that I've been scouting out for you to really try some marling. I'm going to take a look on my notes because I don't want to forget any. Again, you can access all of these patterns in a Ravelry bundle. In the show notes, you'll find how to get into my Ravelry, which is where we knit, all one word, and click bundles, and you will see one that's titled Marl. Okay, so I want to talk about, first of all, this vest. I really would like to learn how to do intarsia this year in 2025. And so I've kind of scouted out some patterns that include not only marling yards, but intarsia. And one of them is this warp vest right here. Now, it might turn you off because of the colors, but if you push into projects in Ravelry, you can see some where people just use 2 colors. So it's more of a plaid effect that was just 2 or 3 colors, but they do marl yarns in this, and it is intarsia. And you don't have to make it that small. I really love sort of the petite look of that, but as a woman in her 50s, I'm kind of thinking I need to make it a little bit longer for myself. We'll see. I'm intrigued by this pattern. It is a pattern by Sara Ottoson, and she's using BC yarn and using light fingering held double in that pattern. So that is one of the patterns that really caught my eye when it comes to marling. The next one is a really, like if you're just kind of starting out and you want, or you have smaller quantities of yarn in your stash, the Parker Improv by Cecelia Compochiaro. I hope I'm saying your name right, Cecelia. Cecelia has a book. She has an MDK field guide all on marling. She's sort of the queen. Her and Anna Maltz are kind of the queens of marling in the knitting world. They have books on it, and there's some articles written on the internet too about both of these women and their technique of marling, and I think it's really fascinating to dive into if you're interested. Anyhow, Cynthia made these little fingerless mitts that I'm really into as well. And it's a really fun way to sort of play with yarn. They can match, they don't have to match. I really love that pattern, and I think it would be holding 2 yarns double. I mean, if I had leftover babies of this Freya yarn, I could use that. Anyway, I think it'd be really fun. So that's another really great pattern. Another one that was in a field guide when it comes to marling is the Marlogram scarf and cowl. That is using Freya yarns again, and it's a beautiful, you can do a scarf or you could do the cowl. Again, photos are right up here. Take a look at those and the options. If you score or have the field guide on marling, you can see ways and learn different ways of pairing the 2 different yarns together to get a really beautiful marled ombre effect. The next pattern is this one. Of course, I can't go without mentioning PetitKnit, who is a favorite of mine. The Melange sweater I think is really beautiful. I love the fit of PetitKnit sweaters on my body in particular. And there's one that I found in the projects page of this particular pattern that's using a brown and a pink. And there's a picture of it here. I love that Marl. Brown and pink, I mean, it's just, that is stunning to me in my opinion. So that's 2 lace weights held together for that particular pattern. I think she uses this Isayer Tavini and maybe Isayer Alpaca 2, where she's creating the marled effect with those 2 yarns held together. The next one I want to mention is called Marl Mittens by Emily Foden. I have mentioned Emily in this podcast before because she has a beautiful book that I've highlighted in the past. And these are excellent ways to use up stash yarn. They don't have to match. I love them. I already put a picture up, but they're beautiful and they're fun. They'd be really cute for kids. I really think this is a stunning pattern, and I love Emily's patterns, so I wanted to shout her out. These are DK weight mittens, so you can hold a couple strands together to create the DK weight. I love how the thumb and the full mitten don't match. For me, it's the cat's meow. I love a nice unmatched pair of socks or mittens. The next one I think is really stunning. It's called the Rustic Cabin Scarf by Les Garçons. And this is like a plaid, and I think it's stunning. Max the Knitter is modeling it from Les Garçons. This is another intarsia pattern. I'm intrigued by this. I love that it has a true masculine feel, and it wouldn't need to depending upon color or whatever you choose. This is DK weight, and they used both plain yarn, like a plain color yarn, and then they used a commercially like marled yarn. So they would take, like for this one, they would take that sort of khaki brown as the main color, and then that sort of creamy white, and then these already marled yarns, and that's how they create it. So it is intarsia. I think it's really beautiful, and I can see myself knitting something like that, hopefully for one of my boys in the future when they grow up to be adults, or even one for my husband. I mentioned earlier about using this yarn. Let's see where it is. Is it this yarn, Baggy Pants by Yarn Hero, for the Best Friend hat by Purl Soho. Purl Soho uses their line weight here, which is 2 light fingering. And I'll put a picture up here. I love this hat. Again, I love the fact that the brim doesn't have to match the body of the hat. So that hat, it really caught my eye. It's a free pattern on Purl Soho. So go to their website and check that out, print out that pattern. That could be another really fun way to explore marling yarns within a hat. And then I believe the very last one is called Delftig by Anna Maltz. So these are mittens. I'll put a picture up here. And Anna has a book called Marl Isle. Let's see, there's something, I'm going to put it in the show notes. She has a whole book, I think that came out in 2018 on marling. I'm trying to get it at my local library to take a look and see if I want to purchase it. But these mittens are both using a marling technique, but also using color work included in those mittens. And I love knitting mittens. It's sort of like some people love knitting socks. I really love knitting mittens because I can crank them out pretty quickly and they're interesting and they're fun. And I live in a really cold climate. So for me, I use mittens every day in the fall, winter, sometimes spring. So those are the patterns. I didn't highlight every single one in my bundle on Ravelry simply because of the fact that this taping would be way too long and I think I would lose your interest. So some marling projects that I have coming up that I'm going to get on the needles because I'm going to be going on some vacations coming up. And these would be really great smaller projects to bring on vacation for me. So I really, one marling project that I want to do is a pattern by, it's called Marled Stripes. It's a tiny little bandana scarf by La Bien-Aimée, and Amy of La Bien-Aimée has used her Helix yarn, which I had in my stash, of course. And this is a combination of Falkland merino and Gotland wool, and it's lace weight, and you hold it with minis of different colors. Now, I would love to do one that's like really bright neons like Amy did, but I reached out to Susie of Fiber MacGyver, and she has some really beautiful blues in minis. And so you take one of these and you hold it double for the main color. And then you take a strand of this and a strand of, I'm not doing lace weight because I'm using Susie's merino twist, but I'm getting 5 different colors. And if by the time I get a hold of these in time to take a photo, I'll pop a picture up here. If not, you'll see it probably on the next taping. And I'm really excited about this bandana. I recently taught a class and someone was wearing one of those little bandana scarves over their shoulders, just with I think she was just wearing a button down, maybe a denim shirt too. And it was so cute. And I thought this would be perfect for the spring when you just need a little something around your shoulders. Especially when you leave for work in the morning or something and it's cooler in the morning, it's nice to kind of have something draped over your shoulders. So I can see myself wearing this quite a bit in the spring. And I think it would be a perfect little vacation knit for me to bring along and not have too much bulk in my luggage. The other thing that I'm really excited about casting on that I'm going to use stash is Andrea Mowry came out for this really beautiful sort of long scarf shawl, and it's called Through Lines. I'm sure you saw it. If you didn't, here's a picture of hers here. Okay, I have had this Peary by Brooklyn Tweed. It's a discontinued yarn. This colorway is called Henge. I would need 3 of these. I only have 2, so I'm just going to go until I don't have any more. I'm gonna go 1 skein, and then when I run out of this skein, I will start the decreases with this skein. So my main color is going to be this Henge gray. And then my other color for the stripe is going to be Fleet, which is like a really dark navy. And then my contrasting color is going to be Spin Cycle Dyed in the Wool Salty Dog. So I'm excited to cast this on too. I think it'll be a really easy vacation knit, another something to kind of have around my neck in the winter, and utilize that new pattern by Andrea Mowry. So I do want to just back up for a second, and for this marled, I want to call it marled magic. I feel like she should have called it marled magic, but it's called marled stripes. And I'm using Susie from Fiber MacGyver, her minis. She has some really beautiful minis, so you should check them out. I do have an affiliate link for Susie where you get 10% off if you use the code that's in the show notes. So if you are ever in the market for looking for some yarn and you want to see some of the yarns I've mentioned by Susie from Fiber MacGyver, make sure to use that affiliate link to get 10% off. So I'm looking at these heaps and piles and trying to see that I mentioned everything that I wanted to when it comes to marling. And now I'm going to talk about one of the works in progress that I have. It's something that I've had yarn for, again, and I also put it on my list of fall knitting. And, well, it didn't get done in the fall, but it's getting done this winter. So, patata, right? Anyway, we're doing a Venzel along here at the store, Dandelion Fiber, and it started this week, and I am making the Carla cape. So this is the back. I don't really want to show you the front because it's kind of messy when it comes to holding the yarns. But this is the Carla cape by Anna Venzel. She has created this huge oversized, here's a picture of it here. She's stunning. And she created this huge oversized, I shouldn't say huge and oversized, that's redundant. This oversized cardigan that I'm really excited to get some wooden toggle buttons. And I'm using Knitwear in this colorway. I don't know the colorways. I've had them for a really long time, and you know how their colorways change. So these are my main colors, but I'm holding it with Soft Silk Mohair by Knitting for Olive. And it's creating a really light version. I could have held Knitwear double to make this more of a sturdier, sort of a thicker cardigan, but I really wanted to have something lighter that I can use in the fall and the spring as sort of kind of like a jacket for me. And this is knitting up really quickly. I think it's like on a size 8 or 9 needle, and I'm coming along. We have 3 weeks. It doesn't have to be finished for the knit along, although I would really like to finish it and move on to some other things that I have in my mind for some spring knits. But again, this was on my fall knitting plan, and I'm doing it. I'm pretty proud of myself. I also cast it on another cardigan that I'd really like to wear when I go to Nash Fiber Fest, which is coming up. Modern Daily Knitting is putting this on in Nashville. I'm going with my friend Rianda, and I couldn't be more excited about it. And I would really like to use this Paul cardigan by Morka Knits. I didn't bring it with me, but I will show you the progress on it on the next taping. But I am really excited to get it done. I have just started it, but I do, with this vacation coming up this coming weekend, 4-day weekend, and then going up to my friend Anna's stuga with all my maker friends the following weekend, I have a good feeling that I'll get some pretty good progress done on it, and I can't wait to show it to you in the next taping. So that's all I have for you today. If you liked what you watched today and you want to be notified when I put out more content, please click the subscribe and the thumbs up button, and you will be alerted when more podcasts of mine come out. I have been trying to do every other week. Recently, I've been doing every week, but coming up the next 2 weekends, I will be taping while I'm on vacation in Palm Springs and when I go up to Anna's stuga in northern Minnesota in the next 2 weekends. So you will see some B-roll on that. And then when I come back for episode number 23, you will see all the progress and finished objects that I have coming up. Okay, so I don't want to forget my favorite things, because a lot of you comment all the time to tell me how much you love my favorite things. And I love that you love them, because some of them are just things that I really, really love and are simple and free. And some of them you do have to buy. And I am not sharing anything today that I'm getting a kickback on. I just want to share it with you. So Valentine's Day is coming up, and I love Valentine's Day. My birthday is this coming week, and my mother's birthday is on Valentine's Day. So in our home, February was very a celebratory month, and my mom and I really get into the whole Valentine birthday thing. And so one of the things that I've always done, I have two, they're pretty grown up now, 17 and 19-year-old sons. And one thing that I always have done for them as their mother is written them a little love letter and made them a Valentine every year on their birthday. So I wasn't one of those moms that kept a baby book, and I'm not really good about keeping the photos and footage that we've taken of them through the years. But two things that I've always done for them is I write them a love letter on Valentine's Day and make them a Valentine. And then I also write them a letter from me in a little journal on their birthday every year. And I don't know when I'm going to give it to them. I have no idea. I don't know if they would appreciate it right now, but when they're grown-ups and maybe their fathers someday, maybe, they will appreciate it. So I will continue writing them a little letter to them from me on their birthday. And it's everything about what we've enjoyed together, what I've noticed. It's really, I don't want to talk about it because I get a little weepy, but anyway, it will be a gift to them someday. But my Valentine this year, I'm not going to show you the love letter because I haven't finished one of them, but anyway, and the love letter is all about what I love about them. Okay, enough about all this. But anyway, so this is, I don't know, I laminated it because, you know, I'm a teacher and I got to laminate things because I want them to keep them. And I do believe that they keep them. I was putting clothes away one time several years ago, and I saw in the back of one of their drawers that they have kept them, which makes me really happy. But this one is just me blowing kisses, and just says, Teddy, I love you like crazy cakes. Have a great day. Love, Mom. And so I did them for both of my boys. Bennett and Teddy both got one, or will be getting one. And I think it's one of my favorite things to do for them, as well as write them a letter to them from me on their birthday. The other favorite thing is, I'm going to put a picture of it here because I was just making some Valentine cookies for Ted, and that I'm going to put in a care package along with his Valentine, and is these Silpat mats. So these are baking mats that they're made of like silicone and like fiberglass or something. They're BPA free. I checked them out to make sure, because otherwise people put it in the comments that I'm going to get cancer because I'm using these, but I hope I don't. Anyway, I've been using these for years, these Silpats. And the great thing about them is that you don't have to use parchment paper every time. You can reuse this Silpat mat that you put on your cookie sheet so things don't stick to it. And I use them all the time. Like, I make my own granola and I put it on there, and then the granola doesn't get all burnt and yucky. And also, sometimes you don't even have to wash your cookie sheet. You just have to wash your Silpat, which is fantastic. So these are one of my favorite things that I have had in my home for years. And they have a lifetime guarantee. So they were created in like the 1960s by this French baker. And anyway, yeah, so I love these Silpat mats. I've used them for years in my baking, and I would say they're one of my favorite things. So, and then the last thing that I wanted to share as one of my favorite things, because I really do think about this section of the podcast a lot, of what I want to shout out in my life that are my favorite things. And one of them is what we call a mom walk. And I have a friend who we've been friends since middle school, Melissa, and she has 3 children and doesn't live far from me. And we are moms that just need to like talk things out. And so every weekend we live by a lake, Lake Harriet in Minneapolis, and we meet sometimes with our dogs. She always brings her dog. I don't, because my dog doesn't like winter. And we walk around the lake and we feverishly talk about the chronicles of the difficulties in parenting. We celebrate the great things that we call crumbs, and they're crumbs of hope. And, it's hard to be a parent. It really is. It's hard to be a parent of babies, toddlers, preschoolers, every stage and age. I just feel like when I became pregnant and had my children, I never thought that I never thought that I would worry as much as I do. And it's just the name of the game, I guess. And so as my children are aging and her children are aging, we have college-age children, it's a lot. And so we always share what's going on in our lives of moms and of people who are working and things that we're scared about in our country and things that we celebrate. But we always try to share what we call a crumb. And that crumb is something positive that we're excited about in raising our children. So mom walks, Silpat baking mats, and making Valentines for my boys. That's what I've got for you today. Have a great week, couple weeks, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you like my content. Bye.